All right, thank you. So the first item is the perimeter security update, which we set. This is just an overview of, we briefly went through all the details in the previous meeting. So follow up from last meeting, you guys had some feedback on some questions. One of which was, why is it a 5 feet spacing? Mainly that is to prevent vehicles from driving into the park. This concept has been tried out already at MLK Junior Park, and we've seen some improvements. There has still been some vehicles driving in, like they found an area with no bollards or no boulders and they drove in that way. But it has shown that there is a significant impact on the park and preventing vehicles from driving in. Crowley Playground, there is a fence that will be incorporated as part of this project. So the question from the last meeting was, is it ornamental or is it chain link? And it would be an ornamental fence. If you want to look at what kind of fence is it, go to Front Park. They just had a fence put up at the Front Park Playground, right when you come in at border, is that same ornamental fence. So it's a black fence that looks, so it's not chain link. Make everyone feel better? And then construction for this perimeter security project at Riverside is scheduled for this summer to take place. Any questions?
Where is the construction going?
So it's there are 2 staging areas, I believe, but this project takes place throughout the park. Where I believe I have, yeah. So I kind of just segmented it into 5 sections because it was easier to absorb, but it takes place throughout where boulders, basically rocks, I can show you. This is at MLK. Boulders like these will be placed at the perimeter of the park to prevent cars from driving into the park.
Okay.
Because that has been something that has been happening throughout the park system. And also bollards that will be placed on pathways. So bollards are removable. So they will be placed on areas where there's a pathway and it's basically a pavement instead of grass. A bollard will be placed at those areas and can be removed upon request for specific events, like special events, where let's say a tent company needs to bring their truck in to set up tents. That can be removed if the organizer requests it as part of the special events permit. Does that make sense? Any questions on this project?
So the boulders and stuff is also going to go all the way around Tonawanda Street, up to Vulcan and all the way around, or how?
So hold on, the Tonawanda is over here. So the boulder, these little pebble looking thing is the boulders.
Okay.
Yeah, they look like they're stuck together, but yeah, it's just the image. They will be about 5 feet apart from each other.
But it's going all the way up to Vulcan?
It's going up
Or
until
Hodling?
Hodling. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? So this is a picture of it. If you want to look at it yourself, head over to MLK Park to see it for yourself. We have had it for about 2 years now. So we've been working with special event organizers in that part to make sure that we can still accommodate their special events throughout the park system. Next item is the signage project update. So this project this is an overview. I will come back to this regularly, but basically there is phase 1, which we are complete. And how many of you have gone to Riverside recently? Riverside Park? Have you seen any new signs that look very fresh?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. So those are the new signs. And if you look at this image again, it's kind of complicated, but basically these here are all the ones that were new and refreshed. They were either updated, means there was an existing sign that was updated to become a new sign, or they were replaced and added. And only one sign was newly added, and that is, and that is that sign over there at Vulcan and Tonawanda. Yep, at the corner there, that is the only new sign that was added. The rest here are all replacements of the existing sign. So the phase 1 is complete. We have 6 new signs in Riverside Park. We're undergoing phase 2 right now, and in conjunction with the city, going through an approval process for ID signs, directional and regulation signs. These are the ones that have the yellow circle around it. So a few of these. And as part of this phase 2 is also a orientation and interpretive signage process. This one, for the orientation and interpretive signage, we are still in the planning phase and design phase with community groups, which we are very grateful to be working with these two organizations. Black Rock Riverside Alliance and has been working with us, as well as Mr. Butler at Black Rock River Historical Society to help us with some narratives as well as historical context for the interpretive signage in Riverside. So I'm gonna go back to this. Any questions? And as Riverside Park users or neighbors yourself, do you feel like there are any narratives or stories that you want to highlight? Yes.
Yes, the playground, the marijuana smell, because you're not supposed to have alcohol or cigarette.
Mhm.
You're really not supposed to have the marijuana off the playground. I think we need signage there that says, big print,
So signage for use of,
non-use.
Sorry. Non-use. I will, thank you. I will note that, we'll note that down and we will I'll check in with the team on how, on the regulation signs around these things.
Yeah,
The other thing, and I noticed this primarily at the Eclipse party,
Sure.
earlier this month. There are no parking on Hoteling Road signs, so people automatically think they can park. And one guy told me when I asked him to move his truck, he said, oh, well, I only have 2 tires on the car, on the road, the other
Okay.
2 are on the grass. And
Oh my
there were some
gosh.
no, keep off the grass signs, but he
Yeah.
said, but it doesn't say no parking.
So you mean like they park around
Along,
here?
Yeah, and when they park on both sides, and I understand that at football games, that can happen a lot.
Mhm.
You can't get an emergency vehicle down there. If a fire truck can't get down that road, I mean, it is literally 2 lanes. And if you've got cars on both sides, even if they're way over, you're not gonna get an emergency vehicle down the middle of it. So no parking signs, and that's probably, since it's a city street.
Yeah.
That's probably a city parking enforcement, parking
Mhm.
department thing, but that would be so helpful.
Okay, I will, yeah, I'll bring it back to the team as well and check in. Yes.
One thing in the past, that was brought up was, possibly, and I'm not saying I'm for or against this, but I think it's something to take a look at, was making Hoteling into a one-way street,
Mhm.
because it would alleviate some of the problems, like what Ann was just talking about.
Sure.
If it was, what Rush, I believe, is from Tonawanda towards, or it is towards Kenmore Avenue. If you did the same thing with Hoteling, I believe that years ago, there was a semi-official study done, and like 2 or 3 out of every, almost like 60 to 70% of cars traveled into Riverside down Hoteling. So there weren't that many people that were going from Tonawanda to Vulcan. That might be a way to alleviate, I know, of course, anytime that you make any change, people have a fit and whatnot. But, that might be a way for when there are any type of sporting events being there, and you could get a rescue squad down there or whatever, if necessary. So it might be something to just take a look at, maybe poll neighbors, little leagues,
Mhm.
et cetera.
But they're still gonna park on both sides, even if they're coming from one direction, they'll still park on both sides.
Right, but then at least you got 2 going the same way. I mean,
versus trying to passage.
yeah.
The thing is, cars have been parking by the basketball courts. And I know one got stuck in the mud because I got this one.
Wait, where did they park?
The tennis courts, the
Down.
basketball
Oh,
courts.
Yeah, in that area.
And-
Oh.
But,
Or,
No,
I'm sorry. Yeah, right there. You're right. Yeah.
and what we find is though that the people that are taking care of the park need to maybe lock that gate so the cars can't get through that.
Oh, so they enter the parking lot and
They
go
go
down
up the
this
path.
path?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
just go up the path,
They go up the service path.
or they come right down the one street and straight in.
Or they're coming from, just so you guys know, they're coming from Tonawanda Street. No, they're coming from Tonawanda and Esther, and they're going right in there.
Yes, they are.
Okay, so
That's another
this
way to,
Boulder project would hopefully alleviate that, and there are gonna be boulders placed here.
And are you putting bollards at like the, where the ice rink and the workers' garage and stuff is? Are you gonna put bollards there that can be removed or
Ice
when they're
rink.
using them and then put back up at the end of the day?
It's like right at the garage door for
For
the
the
B1
ops.
district.
Yeah, so right here.
Yeah.
There is. Is that what the circle is? The oh my gosh, it's too not sharp, I can't see. I will look back into this.
Okay.
Yeah, but over here, at least, I think it will alleviate the situation where cars are going through here to park here.
But they also come up from Esser, right at the end of that walkway,
Right.
from Tonawanda Street, right
Yeah.
there. So as bollards are gonna be there
So
to prevent them
there
from
is-
coming up that,
There's a bus
Halfway.
stop right there. There's a bus stop right there, because the police officers go up through that too. The police officers will go and ride through there to get to the basketball, court and the tennis courts, just to check on everything throughout the day. I notice because I have a business across the street from everything,
Okay,
so I'm constantly watching it.
sure,
But
thank you, we need you.
there were some, bikers out today, but I was like, oh, and they'll go out there,
Okay, so let me just make sure I get it right. So the cars you saying are coming in from here and from here.
Yep.
yes,
Here, as in, just so I have it in the recording, is the pathway along Tonawanda where the tennis courts are, and they will drive in there, right?
Yes.
We'll check in on that.
But you do have one big rock, little rock, but it's right there. Just a
So yeah, this boulder project would definitely alleviate a lot of those problems. So I would say, let's see this as phased and assess again once it's done. Because ultimately, it's also funding contingent. I don't know, it's a city project. I don't know how much money there is. But we want to get this rolling as well. We don't want to push it for another summer as well. Does it make sense? Yes, Gina.
Excuse me, did you say the boulders are gonna be going along Tonawanda, right?
Yeah, so these are the
Right.
boulders along Tonawanda,
Okay, the pathway you're talking about, did you say it will be, yeah,
right here.
wouldn't you have the removable boulders right there? The
It
bollards?
doesn't look.
It
It
says
looks like
install
they're-
4
No,
bollards.
where they said they enter.
Yeah, right there.
Over here, what does it say, Joanne?
It says install 4 bollards, 4
Okay.
foot separation.
Okay, so that'll answer the question that they was asking.
Thank you.
Put that in anyway.
And the ballers on Crowley, I'm sorry,
No,
I'm
you're
gonna say at work, I just on Crowley, my street.
Yes.
You had the ballers going along there too.
Yes, we do. And fencing for the playground and the
Yes.
diamond.
Okay, because that's my main concern, is the fencing for the children.
Were you here when we talk about the fencing?
Yeah.
So basically, for the signage project, can expect to see additional new signage in the park. And if you do have any ideas or thoughts on contributing to the narrative or themes, let us know. Yes.
Sorry, Joe, did you raise your hand?
I did.
Sorry, Joe, go ahead.
Have you done any coordination with the concepts from the Riverside Connections project? Because I thought that the Esser Tonawanda intersection with the park was one of the intersections they're gonna look at some sort of a design feature thing there. So anything you do, I mean, this boulder thing over there could be a temporary fix if the other connections project actually goes through. Just an FYI.
Yep, so that is the one with the Office of Strategic Planning, correct?
Yeah,
Okay, so we brought this, we did loop in the city to make sure that the city departments are talking to each other regarding both projects. And basically, they are aware of this project, so we can follow up again to make sure that they keep us in the loop on their project for the cross streets. But for now, this project, even though if, let's say things have to change due to their project in the future, that will be part of the following phase after, in the next when
Yeah,
that project is.
I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying it's, rocks can be moved. That's
Yes, the
easy
rock-
enough. And so can bollards. So, not a problem.
Thank you, Joe. Any questions on signage?
One thing I worry about those signs is they're very easily vandalized,
Mhm.
and that happens immediately. Any place they put new signs, immediately graffiti on them. Plus they fade in the sun.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, that's a challenge that I guess any sign would face, like all the existing signs, one of the reasons why we are refurbishing them is partly because of wear and tear. It's been over a decade since we last refurbished them. And therefore we see the opportunity in incorporating more stories in the parks. For vandalism, it's something that is throughout the parks and also I guess throughout the city. And I think the Conservancy will do what we can to have more awareness campaign efforts around promoting to care for your park, taking pride, and hopefully neighbors like you guys to help us keep a lookout if you feel like there are consistent repeat groups or individuals that you feel like are having some, like, let's say if it's of a certain age group and if there is a way that we can reach out to them to hopefully have more connection or more education around it, we would do that. Or if it's, does that make sense? So for example, if it's teens or youth, okay, maybe we can engage more with the high school close by and have more education around it to promote better awareness and education.
They play baseball over there. Riverside lost yesterday.
Oh,
Just
very exciting. So this one here, which is happening because of all your efforts and advocacy for your park.
sharks in the pool.
Google Map screenshot. Okay, so funding has been allocated. A contractor will be identified soon. There's an anticipated spring 2024 design process. The next step for this is it's a City of Buffalo project, so they will lead the initial phase. It will be presented at the Conservancy's design review committee, which is only because this is a Olmsted park and therefore it will go to us as a state, we are a stakeholder in the project. Following which there will be an OCA meeting, ideally tentatively in the summer of this year. We will bring everyone back to focus solely on this project and have a community feedback session. How do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, what's happening with that?
Say it again.
What are they gonna make that?
What are they
It's
gonna
gonna be this question.
Okay.
You got my vote.
Yeah, so we'll keep you in the loop on the date.
Thank you.
Eventually, we do not have an exact date now. But also wanted to get your thoughts on if you have any ideas on like when is a good time, like things to avoid just while we are planning this, just reach out to us. Did Joe or Marianne?
Joe.
Yes. Joe, go ahead.
So are we not gonna be able to be in the process until they've decided something? Or can there be a couple of us involved during and prior? I hate to
I am
see them
not
go
sure.
I hate to see them go off the rails with something that, the community just hates.
Agree, Joe.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, Joe Galung back here. My preference would be that we do what we always do and have a small working committee that would work with the city. And so I would try to do that. And I know that the administration has always been supportive in the past when we've done that. So I don't see why they wouldn't this time. And if they weren't supportive, I would do what I could to make sure. I don't want to have like 20 or 30 people in the group, but if we had like 3, 4, 5 that could work with, whatever. So I would be willing to do whatever needs to happen to make that happen.
Yeah, I think, if you can, get 3 or 4 volunteers to kind of represent some different groups so that we can get some ideas and thoughts across, before they go too far. I mean, I don't know what their budget is, so, they're only gonna be able to afford so much, but.
It's in the $600,000 range, give or take.
Okay, well,
At
600
least as
grand
of last.
$600 grand doesn't go as far as it went 2 years ago. So let's see what we can get for our money, but, see how far we can push it.
I would like to see one of the residents from Crowley Avenue involved in that, because that's our view, that's our power, point blank.
Maddie's got it.
All right, thank you for your feedback.
she
So,
does.
yeah. We'll definitely share all of your concerns and input with the city after this meeting and see where we can incorporate more community involvement during the planning process. But at least for the general park user in general, we can expect for a community meeting in the summer to talk about this project. Another project is also City of Buffalo is the football concession. So this this concession is basically a portion of the ice rink building. And there's an anticipated bidding process for 2024. I don't really have much updates for this right now. It's currently in the design phase, and I can anticipate maybe actually at the splash pad meeting, there might be some updates there, and I can share it if anyone's interested. If not, we'll share more information in the fall meeting this year.
So it's gonna be inside the ice rink, but will they have, like, will you be able to have access outside of the building to it? Like, will there be like a window or
So
something?
I think it's
Or
currently
inside?
already inside the building.
Oh,
So
it's
there is
already
something
inside.
in existence
Oh, okay.
somewhere like closer to the football field. Like this area is already theirs.
Okay.
It's just that they're having a improvement project to improve the facility, right?
Yeah, are there any plans to do anything with the concession stand that's at the splash pad and the bathrooms and stuff that's there?
I don't think that is allocated part of that project. So we will have to check in on that, but I think it will be a separate project.
Okay, I mean, yeah, because I mean, if you're gonna have a gorgeous new
I know.
splash pad, then to have a really crappy bathroom, doesn't, it's
Yeah.
mixed, yeah.
Sure, we can check in on that as well.
And I'm assuming things like striping the parking area along Crowley, which we talked with Public Works about 2 years ago, and they promised us they would do it, and it hasn't been done yet. Is something that we have to continue with Public Works that's outside of Olmsted's responsibility, correct?
It is outside, but we'll put it in the notes too. No
Yeah.
harm in having
Yeah,
another.
because
emphasis.
that's the primary place where people go to access the park. And, there needs to be designated handicap parking spots by the walkway.
Yep.
There needs to be striping so that people aren't taking up 2.5 spaces, so you can actually maximize the spaces there. And there needs, and I know the River Rock Connections project is doing crosswalks like at Tonawanda and Crowley, and stuff like that. And I think we can't get a crosswalk there, but we also need to make sure that we have, children at play signs, things like signage along there that designate that that's the playground. So that people recognize, especially as they're going down Crowley. Now, you guys just got students, right?
Yes, thank God, and they've saved, I can actually say at least 3 babies' lives. I know of.
So, I mean, that's a huge step to kind of calm traffic going down there anyway. But yeah, if you can just put it in your notes that
Absolutely.
we're still waiting for them to strike that parking lot and put in some handicap designated spots.
Yeah, the one portion, not on the inside, but on the other side, needs to be marked, because then the police can get through there, but people still park.
This side
No, if you
or like
stand down.
Oh, okay,
To
gotcha.
the end of the playground, there's a road right there that comes out. I know it comes up to my driveway. But it needs to be marked so that police can get in and out of there.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, marked as no parking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no parking.
Is it on the park side of the road? On that side? Sorry, I can't imagine right now, but I will check it. So basically a sign that says no parking, similar to the Hodling sign.
It's really important so the police or emergency vehicles or whatever can get in and out of there, because right now the baseball's over there now and that spot's already filled up.
Okay. Is it I guess here is also an entrance.
But you know, it only goes to their building.
Yep.
Because then it's all playground.
Mhm.
The other part goes straight through the park.
Right, I think I know what you're talking about, yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
okay. There's a good point for that. Thank you.
And it makes sense, I mean, there's gonna be more kids and more children in the area with the new splash pad, we wanna make sure that it's a safe space and environment for the kids to access the space, so absolutely. We'll put it in the notes.
They could strike the Hoodling, parking lot too, while they're. in
While
there.
there, while they have everything there, can you go over there too?
Strike- While you're striping, just take the machine over there too.
We'll walk it over for them.
Yeah.
You know, I just want to make a suggestion about the striping and hodling in particular. If you guys do anything there, could you please make sure that you talk to the different groups that use football, baseball, et cetera? Because what's gonna happen is no matter what we do, somebody's gonna be very, very unhappy.
Sure.
And I'm gonna end up getting the phone calls.
He really
And I'm
is
gonna,
though. I have a salon.
Report your
in
number off the
Riverside.
side, yeah.
yeah,
Like,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
anything you do is not gonna, someone's gonna always have something to say.
yeah,
I guess you hear it from everyone.
I guess it-
yeah.
And my
I
point
do.
is, if it's striped, you're gonna be able to maximize how many cars you can park there. Because right now, people just pull in, when somebody pulls in 3 feet away from them. And that's 3 spaces for 2 cars. You know, if they stripe it, it's much more efficient for maximizing how many cars you can fit in that space.
And we have to weigh convenience over the safety of the kids, more than, you know, people with the football only want to park right next to it.
Mhm.
Tough,
Right.
walk a
Yeah.
lot. Because the kids are more important.
Yeah. Well, and I think they'll be supportive to a degree, but I think that just talking to them will,
It will make them feel important. It
Yes.
will make them feel like they have an input of what you're doing instead of just
We get you guys a photo.
doing it.
And Rosalind, was planning on being at the meeting tonight, but they got baseball, so she couldn't, so she did ask if, Z was recording this, if she could get a recording of it, so she'll be looped into.
So there's technically no parking on Conservancy at all?
No, you can park.
No, there's parking on.
There's a parking area.
Right.
And then.
But on the street, is there,
Technically, you shouldn't be able to, because it's 1 lane in both directions, so you should not be allowed to park there. And the signs, which are up really high that have the park rules on them, very last park rule is park in designated areas only. But because there are no parking sign along the roadway, people think they can park on both sides of the roadway. And
or
then
at least put it on just
Hoteling.
one side of the road?
You could do that, put it on one side.
Especially if you made the
No
street one
parking on
way.
the other side.
Yeah,
Parking on one side.
Yeah.
And then you could do that and have no parking.
Is that more like it functions when it's busy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which means football, baseball.
No, I know, but I'm right across from Holland Drive and I don't see, like, my business is right there across from Holland Drive. And I'm there like pretty much Monday through Friday, all day long. And I don't see many cars parking there unless there is, you know, youth sports going on, then it's parked, then people park like that. Or some type of special occasion or event going on, then people may park like that. But as far as like Monday through Friday during the daytime, no. Like, and at nighttime, I also live across the street on Vulcan, so, at nighttime, your only problem area is your pavilions. So, and maybe, I don't know, people parking inside of that area with their music going loud and stuff like that, like. We'll get to that later, because I have, you don't know me yet, but you're gonna get to know me, Joe knows me, isn't that right, Joe?
Thank you, all good points. I just want to emphasize on the council members' point on looping in the athletic groups. So yes, they are stakeholders because they use the park a lot. So to definitely to loop them in when any decisions are made relating to the parking and all that stuff. And re-emphasize so that it's in the notes, all right? Okay. Any questions so far on this project related? The next part is actually still in a draft phase, so this is not like final, but it's the park user data strategy that we mentioned a few times in past meetings. I just want to bring it back up to the surface and also touch base with everyone on what you think as park users yourself. Excuse me. So this the background of this is it basically an NYU Wagner School team in New York. They chose to work with the Olmsted Parks Conservancy on putting together a strategy for gathering park user data that would help us with understanding who uses the park, how are they using the park, and I guess to some extent, where and why are they using the park. So a lot of it is observation, so not interception. So observation means a volunteer would stand at a certain area, walk a certain path, and note down what they see as to what people are doing in the park. The other form of surveying is when you go up to someone and be like, do you mind filling out the survey, or asking them a question in person. So this park user data strategy is more of the first one, observation based, where we are observing people almost in their natural self in the park. Sounds good? Okay. And the purpose of this would help us with understanding, with like grant reports, when let's say we want to file for a grant for relating to improving Riverside Park for a certain project, we will be able to use the data that we collect over time to help us with substantiating for that grant. And of course, if there are any organizations like Riverside Alliance or any other organizations that want information on usership data for the parks, this can also be shared with them, or like we can collaborate in different areas. Like it can be.
Sorry, have you started this project?
No,
You're
not
going to.
Yes, so right now they are still in the phase where they are finalizing their report. This was a draft thing. They are presenting their final report in early May. And the final report basically gives us a toolkit as to like, you need to recruit X number of volunteers and the volunteers will be here and that kind of stuff. So we wanna, while they're doing that, I wanted to get everyone's feedback on like first impressions. And also as Riverside neighbors yourself, is there anything that you feel would like, this is not gonna work, for example, or like, you should definitely take note of this when it comes to usership data, anything like that? Or like, what would you say are the peak hours for Riverside Park based on your experience as a homeowner or as a business owner in the park area? Any thoughts?
I would say,
I'd say probably like 4 to 8.
4 to
Yes.
8 p.m.? Okay.
Yeah. Because that's when the baseball, the volleyball, the basketball, the tennis, the lacrosse, the hockey. There are ours at one time, there was a survey done, and we are who's powered by square footage than any of them are.
Your ears, I told you, busy. They can't see you, it's turned on.
Raise your hand.
No, this-
No, go ahead, sorry. What were you saying?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was, seasonality is everything. Football
Yep.
season is huge. Baseball season is huge. Hockey for the hockey rink is huge. I mean, how long are you gonna have the survey? And, you know, I mean, and during the summer, if the playground is in play, that's huge. I mean, so I guess, you know, seasonality and timing is a big deal here.
Yep, absolutely, yes.
No matter what seasonality or timing that is occurring, your pavilions are being ruined by people who like to do really nice curricular activities that ruin their lives. And then what they like to do is they like to pitch tents in your park, okay? And then they like to take nappies in the tents, okay? And that's just a really bad look for this community. And we have got to flip these negatives that these people are doing into positives, and I have quite a few good ideas.
Okay, Cameron.
We're still on, I didn't unmute it. So
There's a
please
lot of
go and yell.
There's a lot of car theft that was occurring for some reason in front of my house. I really appreciated the stolen cars, but I couldn't use them, so I called the police. Just, you know,
Oh my gosh.
and they're the young kids. They're the key gang or whatever, they're juveniles.
The Kia boys.
The Kia boys, this is the Kia boys. It's driving me nuts.
Now I know why you're coming.
Driving me nuts.
You're fun.
We need the town.
Yeah, there seem to be a lot of stolen cars that are dumped in or around Riverside Park. And I don't know if it's because it's the city Tonawanda line, so they're coming from Kenmore, Tonawanda, or they, you know, are running out of gas, or they just, it's a vacant park area, so they can just dump them and then take off.
How do you know they were dumped? Again, is it
Because
obvious?
that's where the police find them.
Oh, I see.
We have a camera though, and we get them parked,
I see.
you know. The strange thing is, they don't touch my little car, my Toyota, it's falling apart. I don't understand.
It's not a good idea.
Only the Kias.
No, they taking Hondas too now.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they do.
I am so.
Back in the day, they
I'm
could take
so
anything they
old.
wanted.
That's a good question too. The city has cameras all over the place. They have any in and around the park?
Yes, they
No.
actually do. They have one on Esser and Tonawanda Street, and they have one on Vulcan and Tonawanda Street. I highly suggest maybe you put one at the lighthouse, because a lot of people like to sit at your beautiful lighthouse and do curricular activities as well.
Amen.
Thank you. I guess from from a security standpoint, that's definitely city led, so, but we also.
Are you
look in-
guys aware that an 18 to 20-year-old child OD'd after the eclipse
I was not aware.
in the park across from Vulcan on that part of the park?
Which is, yes. But there's,
Yeah.
we
It's
pick up
crazy.
needles. We pick up needles all the time.
Yes, and we have volunteer events and staff who also have all those situations on needles or
6 o'clock.
filling up
meeting, kind of quit it.
situation, and it's unfortunate, and
It
it's, yeah,
is.
so-
We have to figure out a way to fix it.
I wish I had a magic wand.
I have a really good idea. Do I have to wait to say my good idea?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, so this is a really good idea that can help a lot of people in Riverside, and we can utilize our park more, like from an early hour during the summertime to maybe when the baseball diamonds start and the football field starts with their kids. What about creating like a Riverside Camp Kids program where, I don't know, it could be created and funded by a grant. We already have free lunches, you're gonna have a splash pad, you have the pool, you have 2 pavilions, maybe redo the pavilions. And then if we do that in a positive way, and that could be a craft area, it could be an area where kids eat lunch, it could be an area where kids can go when it's raining with their camp counselors. It's gonna broaden a whole big strip of job opportunities and volunteering opportunities for the youth in the neighborhood. We have a lot of different ethnicities in the neighborhood, so I feel like if we do something like that, we can get everybody to come together. It could be funded. People in our neighborhood are already being funded to pay daycare, so they can pay Olmsted Park the prices for daycare. It will keep people out of the neighborhood that don't belong in it, that are doing bad things. People aren't gonna be pitching tents and putting needles in their arms when kids are walking by. I had a lady standing on my stoop at my business, like a crackhead, sorry, but life is reality, flashing the park, and I put her on Facebook with her face, so she never comes back. Okay, like people around this neighborhood do not respect your park. They do not. I see it day in and I see it day out. Okay, I see it from Vulcan View and I see it from Tonawanda by Hollington Drive. I see your basketball courts, I see your tennis courts. Okay, if you can make some type of program, you can use, okay, Mr. Morgan doesn't want us to use this football diamond. Cool, we don't need to. I've driven down Tonawanda Street many of times where there's volleyball fields put up, volleyball nets put up for people who play volleyball. You know, I know with Burmese and like other ethnicity, soccer is big. We can create a little soccer area where they can play. Design a program that's very organized by you guys. Okay, take control of your park or it's gonna get ruined. They broke into the facility across the street at the football field. They broke into that and they took all of these kids' candies. They took all the stuff that they use for funding for their organization and they stole it by cranking open the window to their concession stand. That's why they probably want to do this thing, because the neighborhood people are doing this. So if we can flip all these negatives into positives and get to the youth, because I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot of parents are younger right now, they're not raising their kids right. They're not teaching them morals and they're not teaching them respect, okay? So they're like leaving pop cans, they're throwing your picnic tables into your pools, they're vandalizing everything that's going around in the neighborhood, and they don't care because they have like, my son. I always teach my son, he has to be accountable for every action he makes in the world, okay? A lot of these kids in the neighborhood, a lot of the kids aren't taught that at home. So if we can find a grant that could create a kind of funding like that, then that's gonna put a nice amount of people in your little, thing to be able to see and view everything going on in the park. And it's gonna keep it busy from sun up to sundown, to where none of the riffraff is gonna go in it, and they're gonna move to Niagara Falls.
There is the Willie Hutch Jones summer program.
Yeah, and he's got
right out of
that.
The park already, but to run a summer camp program where you're responsible for adolescents 5 days a week, I mean, you gotta be licensed, you have to have qualified staff, I mean, it is a huge.
Oh, yeah, I know.
expense. It is a huge expense.
And that's really not Olmsted's mission. I mean, Olmsted's mission right now, I mean, they're having enough issues trying to focus on what they're currently doing. I mean, you're talking about what used to be a city of Buffalo responsibility, that is no longer happening anywhere in the city. So I don't think you can put that on Olmsted right now.
Well, I had my hand up for a while and,
Oh,
she's
sorry,
correct. This
can't
is-
see it.
no, it's okay, but it's not an Olmsted issue. This is a community issue and we have to come together as constituents of the city with this issue, because it's not just Riverside, it's all over.
No, but.
And we can come together and work
Yes.
together and get funding that way, opposed to
Yes.
trying to put it on Olmsted, because Olmsted
No.
cannot do.
I'm just
What's
trying to
going
ask
on?
questions. I was just
Yeah.
saying, you know, I don't know the rules, I don't know the regulations, that's why I was like, even you guys can do it, you know what I mean? I see it, and I see the park getting put to waste, when it could be like, you know, it could be all parks, all the Olmsted parks in the neighborhood. These kids could, like, they could be thriving in so many different ways, and I see it every single day in the park, and it just breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Is there any of these CPOs, do they come around frequently?
To the park. I am not aware myself, but I mean, the police has been, whenever we call, they do work with us. So I would say BPD, they do work with us, and I mean, they can always be more, but.
But the reason why I ask that is because BPD, they're already overworked.
Yes.
But the CPOs is more closer with the community than just calling 911. So if anybody in here has a connection with the police department in the district, contact the CPOs, their community police officers.
Yeah.
They work closely with the community than just calling 911, because they got all the car theft and everything else going on, so they're not gonna come. And they go by priorities calls. So when we call about the park, that's minute to them.
Right, and the CPOs.
But the CPOs will work with you.
CPOs do like 3 to 11 is my understanding. There's one assigned to the BMHA housing projects. And that's their jurisdiction. And then we have 2 others that rotate schedules that manage the entire D district. So you've got 2 CPOs for the D district, which goes from Main Street to Niagara, and then, you know, literally from Vulcan, I think, Delavan. Up to Delavan? I think they take part of Elmwood too, and they got part of the Elmwood district. So you got 2 CPOs officers really covering a very large spot. But they do give out their they have their own cell phone numbers and they have their own email addresses that they give out. You can go to the D district meetings, the chief's meetings once a month. He hosts those. You can express your concerns there, get to know the CPOs. You can invite one of the CPOs to this meeting for the next meeting, because they come to our block club meetings. They frequently go to Rediscover Riverside, which you guys should be going to because it's right there in your neighborhood. That's monthly. It was just last night. We do believe in Black Rock meetings here for kind of this section of the North District. And we usually have a CPO at that meeting. So they're around, they're accessible, they're great to deal with, and they're very responsive. And you're right, you know, you call 911, you know, and they've got so many other little things that are high priority, and you get prioritized. I mean, when a call goes into 911, They have a hierarchy of what hits the top and what goes on the bottom. And honestly, somebody smoking marijuana
That's
at
nothing to them
the,
when
or
they got
shooting up
murders and
at the
stuff,
White
yeah.
House is gonna be fairly low on the priority when they're finding a dead body over by the waterfront or something. So.
The piggyback on that, to let you know, because I live in the middle of Crowley Avenue. And the police do go down. And especially if there's games going on, you know, especially the sports games, they will come and they enjoy the games too, because they'll get out of their cars, walk around, talk to people. So I've seen it. I don't want you to think that they're not. And besides that, to tell you the truth, a couple of the firemen and policemen's kids are on those teams, so they're gonna show up. And we have to put that in the concept. They're trying very, very hard.
They come down the Holy Drive a lot.
Mhm.
They're circling that way.
Yeah.
Tonawanda police are coming down Vulcan a lot more now, and I see like the Buffalo police coming that way.
So, you know, it's, believe me, people, I can tell you, since 1955, it has in the last few years starting to improve in the last 3 or 4 years. Because we had, don't ever think, when people tell you the 1950s that they were that great in Riverside, absolutely not. You didn't look over the drunks, okay? I'm just telling you, we'll work it out. You know, let's have a positive attitude.
Yeah.
And things are improving, and I thank Olmsted for stepping up and trying now to help our.
And I love the idea of having like summer programs going on in the park. I just don't know if the city is prepared to take that on as a responsibility. But maybe getting them to partner in some way with like the Boys and Girls Club, which is 2 blocks over.
See, the Boys and Girls Club has the Beaver Island Park. They do the Beaver Island Camp PVC, and guess what has happened now? It's mainly Grand Island kids.
Really,
Yes,
that's a shame.
right, and that's what made my mind going like,
So they
oh,
don't do anything at their facility during
No.
the summertime?
no.
See, maybe that's the way to approach it though.
What about block clubs? Do you guys have block club presidents that come to these meetings?
Rediscover Riverside is like the community block club. There is a block club on, what's
George
Washington.
George Washington Block
There's the,
Club.
there's just a George
Washington
Washington
Park
Association, and then there's one, is it Gallatin?
Gallatin
One?
Avenue has one.
They have one, and there may be one other one.
Well,
up in
Crowley,
Riverside.
Crowley,
But
we're
Rediscover
kind of,
Riverside is kind of the big one, and that
Yeah.
encompasses all of Riverside. Anybody's welcome to go.
and I think there's just off the subject, then we'll get back on. The new 311 will be in effect, what did we say, at the end of the month, it should
3
be in
weeks,
effect. And it's gonna have a link for the police, and you'll be able to go in there and put what your complaint is about. So that's a good step too. So I'm pushing, if you see it, call 311. And of course, you say that, you go, well, no, please, because the more you call 311, the more help we get in Riverside. We gotta remember that. So the more you call a complaint, the better for our community. I know that sounds weird.
Well, a little note with 311, when you call, make sure you get a reference number.
That's right.
And they close when City Hall closed. Now, there's another number for the city, is 211. They're
Yes.
24 hours.
And they're
So-
looking to expand the daytime and the nighttime, the
Yeah,
hours,
yeah.
the evening hours for 311.
But still, with 311, you gotta get a reference number because
Yeah.
your call will get lost.
Yes.
And if you do it online, it automatically routes, even if it's after hours, it will automatically route to the department it's supposed to go to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I send emails.
Yeah.
I send emails. I don't even call.
Thank you. No, we appreciate all your feedback, and I think wanted to emphasize on a few of the themes. So engaging the youth seems like the big theme here,
Yes.
right? More
Yeah.
basically programming slash activities on healthy activities for the youth and teens in the neighborhood. Because ultimately, it's a cycle where the more of that happens, the more they take pride in their green spaces, in their parks, and the more they see a park as a place, as a healthy place to go to, and not a place to go to do rebellious things where they can't do anything else. I mean,
Kids today aren't like kids in our day.
Mhm.
I mean, we used to go, the public schools all had, daytime activities and lunches. And we'd play, four squares and jump rope and hopscotch and all that kind of fun stuff. Kids today, they don't do any of that.
yeah, it's a little bit different now.
A lot different.
But the city could also think, he said about the old days, and the only thing I can think of, they used to always have someone in the playground from 8 o'clock in the morning to like 4 o'clock at night, and that person's job was to make sure that the kids, they used to have it even in the 70s. I don't know what happened to it. Probably money crunch. But it was really cool because everybody knew the lady in charge of the playground. Interesting. It was
Z?
a cool.
Yes.
Z, can we focus on one thing? I know that there's a lot of work that can be done, but you were mentioning the shelters and the activities that are going on in the shelters. That should not happen in any way, shape, or form. I mean, can we just concentrate on getting that fixed? Like either calling D District and making a very specific ask of D District to go down there and police that, and nobody should be pitching a tent. I mean, come on, this is a no-brainer. So if we focus on that, maybe we can claim that back and then work on these other projects. What do you think?
I mean, this is the basic pitching tents and all that is already breaking a park rule, right?
Yeah, I get it.
So when that happens, like if our staff sees it, they know what to do. They call the police, they file reports accordingly as well. So we have our own protocol to follow. On residents and back to the point, call 311 whenever you see those things. That will increase police patrol or presence in the neighborhood. When, let's say, versus one call coming in about pitching 10 versus 10 calls, which one do you think to prioritize, right? So, and then if there's Olmsted also pushing on that end, so that is kind of right now, I think that's at the top of my mind, that's like the solution for now. There might be other ways on a strategic level, but at this point, and something that we can all contribute would be that.
Is there any way to know when somebody has permission to use those shelters? Because you have to get permissions before you can set up a picnic or something, correct?
So the shelters are permit based. Like you want to book a shelter, you have to get a permit from the city and pay the permit fee. But otherwise, it's on a first come, first served basis, and it follows the park hours. You open from dusk to dawn.
Okay.
Dusk to dawn. Dusk.
Dawn to dusk.
Sorry. You open from dawn to dusk.
They are open from
And-
dusk to dawn.
Not the other way around. So it follows the park hours, and if the park's closed, you're not supposed to be in the shelter anymore. So
Right.
it's the same. Yeah, the rules apply.
So how do Olmsted handle if there is people in the park and they're violating? How do Olmsted handle it if there's workers working when
So
something's going on and they're
We
violating?
also
the park
call
rules?
911. We call our contacts at the police department. We call 911. We follow the same process. We do not, we discourage actually our staff from engaging in anything that confronts anyone. We do not want to put them in a situation that makes them feel endangered or uncomfortable. So we follow the same steps.
But do they also
Yeah.
call 311?
Yes, so 311 is speed dial. Yes.
Okay.
And we have our contacts at the city where if it's more of an emergency to call 311, but also follow up with,
I wonder
our
if they could
contacts.
give out tickets to those people.
So that's, again, enforcement is the police.
I don't know.
It's not,
I'm gonna find out.
No.
I do like Dan's suggestion of having the CPO come.
Yeah.
In the next
Yeah.
meeting.
okay, well, we'll
I
reach
do
out.
have their number if anybody wants.
Well,
Perfect. The problem we had with the CPOs is they were riding together in one car and they only had one car to cover. I don't know if that situation changed, but the CPOs were not coming last year.
Okay.
So
But
what
if they
happened
were-
with what happened with the CPOs and their cars? Do we know?
Nobody knows.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't asked Paul, but I will.
Right, and can you fill us in on that one? What was happening with that?
I have not asked recently, but they just hired another CPO, so now they're up to the 3 CPOs, 1 for BMHA and then 2 for the district, and I know the 2 are for the district are working opposite. I don't think that the BMHA officer is riding with the CPO any longer, but I will confirm that.
Okay, because they, for a while, they only had one car. You had 3 people with one car.
But I think that has changed. I will confirm it.
Okay, thank you.
So when are the boulders going in?
It's planned for a summer construction.
Yeah.
Z, how long before we get the splash pad?
2 years.
So we have a, what did I say just now?
Okay, don't make her repeat it. Oh, gee.
Oh, no, you're good, Marianne. So basically, there is a tentative plan for the city and Olmsted to plan for a community meeting in the summer and
Okay.
anticipated fall 2024 construction.
So are we gonna fight for having one of the pools open again this year?
That one, I am not sure, but we can check in as well.
Okay, well, as a group, maybe, do we care that there's a pool open this year in Riverside? Because we had to fight really hard last year to get that open.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
pool open this year, just because the splash pad's gonna be under construction is no reason why the big pool shouldn't. We are the 3rd most active pool in the entire city. We can't not, they have to prioritize lifeguards for us again this year.
Because
They've been advertising for lifeguards, since January, so I don't know how the applications have been going. But Z, you might wanna
Yeah.
check on that.
Sure. So this is the pool by Niagara
The
and
big pool,
Holden,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
And it's very important because you know what? Kids love water. And it's go over the bridge
Yeah.
and jump in the river.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
We used to do it when we were.
Yeah, and they still do. They still do. I mean, every time I see a police car for Black Rock Canal Park, their
Right,
sirens going, I hold my
It's
breath.
not for anymore.
That's not
So,
safe.
Never were that many.
to jump in the kids.
Never were that many.
Thank you. All right, so we'll check in on the pool, yes. Right,
So you get a
close to the
contract.
end, I promise.
Those are good.
So volunteer opportunities.
oh, your speaker's still on.
Yeah, we can hear every word you're saying there, Joe.
Okay. Okay. I'm muted.
Sorry, she went back.
I'm muted him, okay. So volunteer opportunities in Riverside Park, if anyone's interested, or if you feel like there are any groups that we should reach out to help out, in May, coming up Thursday, May 9 and May 23rd, 9 AM to noon. Right, so next week, actually, if you are around the park area, you would see a lot of volunteers for Earth Week. Right, in every park, including Riverside, of course, with planting for spring plantings and annuals and perennials. So one of the goals for this year is our horticulture goal is to move towards more perennials, mostly native perennials as much as we can. So you will see that change as well and update in the park. Let us know what you think.
Are they doing something with the landscaping along the fence area at Crowley? Cause I know when we met 2 years ago to talk about just some general issues around that area. One of the problems was that the shrubs and things that they had were growing so high that it prevented the people who lived on Crowley from having eyes on that playground park.
Like
on
this
that playground
here?
area. And yeah, so we talked about, having maybe the shrubs taken out and putting in some lower, maybe flowering perennials or something so that, because the more, I mean, it's a safety thing. If you perceive that people can see you, you are less likely to do it. And the people on Crowley have the perfect set of eyes. So yeah, if you can just check the plan.
Sure,
plan,
just
that
to
would be
make sure,
great.
is it this area?
Yeah, that area right in there.
Yeah, so the shrubs / bushes by the Crowley Ave playground, to check on the
Yeah.
plants.
The ones that are by, along Vulcan too, that are by the pavilion, it makes it hard to see the pavilions. When those overgrow, and my aunt is a frequent caller. To 311, always on Vulcan, if anybody knows her, I don't know, but she calls often, and, when they need to be trimmed. But those totally avoid it, when we can't see the pavilions at all, to be able to know what's going on in the pavilions, but we can hear it at night, and she'll call at night, but,
So you're
I would
referring
think-
to the
Oh, rock
area
garden.
here?
Vulcan,
The rock garden.
Oh, no. Yeah, by the Pitofi, behind the Pitofi statue at the River Rock Garden.
yeah, like all in that area, like where your pavilions are,
Yes.
yes. That area, because then like at night, like our cameras can't see if someone's getting a picnic table and they're taking it and throwing it in the pool. You know, like certain things like that kind of do help too on Vulcan.
Sure, okay, so yeah,
Cause I'm there, I'll call
By
211.
the playground, also, if those bushes are cut down like that, they're less likely to throw their needles in playground where the kids are playing.
Or lay on their sleeping bag and sleep in it.
In the.
Oh my,
Very
oh my
long.
gosh, they sleep all over the place. Are not kidding.
Homelessness is a whole other issue.
thank you, Gina. Thank you all, yeah, so, I mean, at the end of, we have to still prioritize based on what resources and capacity we have for the year. So all your feedback will be taken, will be noted down, and we will review it with the team when we get back.
Sounds good.
With the volunteers, are you reaching out to like Riverside or McKinley High School to, like, especially their horticultural program to help with?
We do have connections with McKinley High School. Riverside High School, I'm not too sure, but McKinley for sure, so we'll check in on that as
I
well.
just, you know,
I can
especially since
connect
they're
you-
doing
I can
plantings and
connect
stuff.
you to the conservation teacher there, who's
Awesome.
great, and he's always looking for his kids to do outreach work, plantings,
Yeah.
and worked in our community gardens for a while.
Sounds
They're
good.
doing they're doing a cleanup on, I wanna say Tonawanda in Ontario sometime like in the next couple of days.
Okay,
But yeah, I'll connect you
sounds good, yes,
to
please.
them.
And the charter school for applied technology,
Mhm.
because those high schoolers gotta have the credit hours, the volunteer hours. Come on, help them graduate.
Yes. I think I am. So this is the website if anyone's interested, just our website/volunteer. And that's it. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Anne, for hosting us.
Thank you for your patience.
And if any of you are interested in any environmental things that are happening in our community, we're finishing up the last two of our Saturday educational, environmental speaker series. This coming Saturday is, Scott Kitchen from the Niagara Muskie Association.
They can see you. Right on.
To be talking about, the hydrokinetic turbines that they want to put into the Niagara River off of Unity Island. And some of the other conservation efforts that the Niagara Muskie Association has been working on. And then I am doing the last one the next Saturday, they're 10 o'clock here. We do have coffee and donuts every Saturday morning. And I'm gonna be talking about some of the initiatives that the Alliance is launching with our air quality monitoring program for your homes. And our tree planting program that we're doing with Erie County over the next 5 years. So come and join us from 10 to 11 on Saturday mornings. This Saturday, I know you're probably all cleaning someplace. I'm in New Jersey, you're in New Jersey. But thank you.
Thank you. Oh, that sounds great.
Can I have a question?
Yes.
Another
These
one?
people probably are not gonna like me. Are they off of that online thing? They're not gonna like me. I just have one question real quick. You know how we do like a Burmese festival? They do the Burmese festival?
Yeah.
What if we did something called like the Riverside, the Taste of Rivers? Right?
Find
That
the
way-
organizer to do it.
And what do I need though? I don't know how to do this. Like I need to get permits and stuff like that?
Yes.
Okay.
And every vendor.
Here's on. You talk.
And you know, you have to just kind of coordinate all of that.
So coordinate it.
And, yeah,
Okay.
but you've got to file permits with the city of Buffalo, Olmsted has to give you permission, you've got to file it with the police department. If you're doing tents, you have to have the fire department and you
Okay.
have to fight police for that.
They have
Doing a
propane.
special event, it sounds really easy, like, let's just bunch of.
But it's
invite a bunch
really,
of
it's a lot
people.
of footwork.
It's, it's a little bit bureaucratic for sure, but I mean, if you do decide to do
Years, I did the 4th of July. Exactly.
if you do decide to do it, reach out to us and we'll show you the process.
Yeah,
for the
Okay.
permit.
yeah, I mean, you can work through it, it's not, it's.
I need help, I can't do it
It's
alone.
easy.
I just needed
And
to
that's
know,
why you
like,
need to
what-
get- Yeah, get. 4 or 5
Educated, I need to
people.
be educated on things properly, so I know my ducks are in a row.
Yeah, absolutely, get 4 or 5 people together as your committee, and then, you know, get the permits in place, and then do the outreach stuff, yeah, absolutely, it can happen.
I mean, what about
Thank you, Joe and Marianne.
garage?
Safe travels.
Everybody pays a fee to rent a table, and then do it in the garage.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
It's been a
so
long
I-
day.
Or we could do